Hey guys, Merry Christmas Eve. So I know Christmas is right around the corner. I don't know if there's going to be another vote tomorrow on different legislation or after Christmas or in January, or if Trump's just going to end up signing this bill. But as I've said, this bill is really, really, really bad. The reason I started this YouTube channel was when the CARES Act went through in March. There was like no outcry over it. No one knew what was going on. And, I listened to a very select few people who kind of pay attention to what goes on behind the scenes, namely Peter Schiff. I was listening to Jimmy Dore a lot at that time. But then like Tom Woods, and then Ron Paul, people like that. And some of us knew that bill was really bad when it was going through, but no one was sounding the alarm. I was in Arizona and we were kind of locked down because it was right as the virus was going through. So I was just in the guest house at my uncle's house in Tucson, and I had nothing to do but go online, and I was researching the bill and listening to different people talk about it. And at that time I had no following on Twitter. I didn't have a YouTube channel, so I was just posting stuff to Facebook with all 100 of my friends, and it did what it did. But that's what inspired me to start all of this stuff that I've been doing with the Naturalist Capitalist. And now I actually have a following, and they're doing this again, but this time it's even worse. It's not quite as much spending, but it's going to foreign countries. There's less money going directly to people, and the way that they're jamming this through is far more criminal than the way they did it last time. As I said, the bill's over 5,000 pages long. The average Bible is about 1,200 pages, so it's like reading 5 Bibles in several hours. So, a few things. $2.4 trillion. That's just too much money to spend on anything in a single bill. If I were in Congress, I would never vote for any bill that was that big. That should be one sign. The second thing is you should never vote for a bill that you can't read and fully understand. And there's no way anyone could have voted for that, could have read that bill in that amount of time and understood it. So already everybody should have voted no questions asked. But I'm gonna bring up the tally here. So the two Democrats voting nay, that's Rashida Tlaib and Tulsi Gabbard. I'll play a quick clip from Tulsi Gabbard, why she voted no, and then right after that is Peter Schiff's reflection on Tulsi Gabbard and Rashida Tlaib's votes.
The second thing is the central part of this bill is supposed to be about providing direct COVID relief to the American people who are struggling and who need help the most. This bill dished out hundreds of billions of dollars going towards special interests, going towards the military-industrial complex, going towards foreign countries, meanwhile saying, here's what's left for you. You get $600.
I think Rashid objected to it because it just was too small. She voted against it on the principle that it wasn't socialist enough. They weren't giving away enough free money. And I think Tulsi was more upset that too many rich people qualified for free money. So I respect her for standing on that principle because she is correct. A lot of wealthy people and businesses are going to get a bunch of money. And I will go over that a bit later.
I completely agree with Peter Schiff's assessment there, and definitely go check out that episode. I'll be playing a couple more clips of it, but I will put a link in the description to the episode he released yesterday in which he talks about all the pork and everything in this bill. The most disappointing Democrat was Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez because she grandstanded as though she were going to vote against it because she obviously didn't have time to read it, and then she ended up caving and voting for it in the end. But then 50 Republicans voted against it, and obviously the one libertarian, Justin Amash, voted against it. And Justin Amash had some great tweets about how we should not reelect anyone who votes for a bill that they can't read. How that is just so antithetical to representative republic. So then in the Senate, only 6 people voted against this. 92 to 6. So there were just 2 senators who didn't vote. I don't know if they just weren't in session. But anyway, it was Blackburn, Cruz, Johnson, Lee, Rand Paul, and Rick Scott. That's it. Other than that, it was a clean sweep.
So let me just call off the names of the Republicans who actually deserve to be reelected, right? These are probably the only 6 that we should vote to return to Washington. Number 1 is Rand Paul of Kentucky. And in fact, Rand delivered an excellent speech on the floor of the U.S. Senate. It's on YouTube. I tweeted it out. I put it on my Facebook page. So check out Rand Paul of Kentucky's speech in opposition to this bill.
If we can print up money with impunity, why not do it? The Treasury can just keep printing the money. That is, until someone points out that the emperor has no clothes and that the dollar no longer has value. To so-called conservatives who are quick to identify the socialism of Democrats, if you vote for this spending monstrosity, you are no better.
And by the way, we do have this runoff coming up in Georgia in January, and the balance of power in the U.S. Senate hangs in the balance of this election. A lot of people, hey, we really need to make sure the Republicans hold the Senate. Really? These Republicans? The Republicans that we've got now, they're a bunch of rhinos. Even if the Republicans maintain control of the U.S. Senate, it is not going to stop Biden and Democrats from pushing their big government agenda.
Peter Schiff is not wrong when he says that. Why vote Republican? Why even vote Republican to try to gridlock Congress? Because when it comes to things like this, as I've told you guys, they all vote the same. And I know I've gotten pushback for saying that. People say, oh no, everything's done across party lines. Everything's so divisive. They don't work together. Look at this bill. I mean, look at those numbers in the House and in the Senate. Same with the CARES Act. Same with like the war powers resolutions. When it comes to war, spending, or unconstitutional spying, they all rub elbows and they get it done. So I know I talked about this in a video I did a couple nights ago, but I just wanted you guys to see these numbers. So in domestic funding, the Kennedy Center is going to be getting $26,400,000. Smithsonian's getting $1 billion. National Art Gallery, $154 million. National Arts and Humanities, $167 million, and the Wilson Center, $14 million. And then we go down to foreign countries. And by the way, don't think that these foreign countries are getting food stamps. I mean, this is going to their militaries and padding the pockets of special interest in these countries that we want to satisfy. Egypt, $1.3 billion. Sudan, $700 million. Ukraine, $453 million. Israel, $500 million. Nepal, $130 million. Burma, $135 million. Cambodia, $85,500,000. Pakistan, $25 million. Asia RIA, $1.4 billion. But hey, roughly 200 million of us get $600, so it's all worth it in the end, right? Also notice that $10,000 are going to be allocated for gender programs in Pakistan right now, while people don't have jobs here. I just wanted to go through some of this to There's only $600 for you in the coronavirus relief bill, but there's $33 million for the overthrow of the Venezuelan government. $33 million shall be made available for democracy programs for Venezuela. There's also over $3.2 billion set aside just so the army can buy more missiles. So, this type of stuff is coming out the longer the bill's been out because people are actually having time to read it. Getting their priorities straight, the COVID relief bill also sets aside over $19 billion for the procurement of Navy aircraft. $19 billion until September 30th, 2023. Nice. Here's a list of all the new ships that the Navy has managed to buy with the COVID relief bill money. I'm going to remind you guys that they just passed a $750 billion military budget a couple weeks ago. In this bill, the word missile appears 19 times, aircraft 208 times, munition 46 times, weapon 46 times. But then when we get to healthcare, only 24 times, doctor or nurse 5 times, masks 0. So, as I said, I'm going to put the link to Peter Schiff's full episode in the description. I suggest you go listen to that. But another major problem with this bill that also happened with the CARES Act is the PPP loans. First of all, they're not just for small businesses, and they're not really loans. They end up being corporate grants. And there was a ton of abuse with the CARES Act. That will just happen again with this bill. So this is why I have said if there is going to be stimulus, the only thing it should be is direct cash payments to people, and then the money will go where it needs to go. If you need to pay your rent, you pay your rent. If you need food, you buy food. If you don't need any of those things and you want to buy a car, you buy a car. Whatever. There's less room for embezzlement. There's less room for waste. It's the only thing that makes any sense. This is also a tweet I made in which I point out we could give $2,000 to every single American citizen, meaning every man, woman, and child, and then we would only have a $660 billion bill, which is $1,740 billion less than this bill. So even though I'm not a fan of stimulus in general, if there were a way we were going to go, $2,000 per person would be much better. So when this happened with the CARES Act, when it went through Congress, Trump signed it as soon as the bill hit his desk, and he was actually angry at Thomas Massie for requesting a recorded vote. And I thought that was just going to happen again. I had no hope that Trump would make any fuss about this. I thought he was just going to instantly sign it. I thought it would be law right now.
I am asking Congress to amend this bill and increase the ridiculously low $600 to $2,000 or $4,000 for a couple. I am also asking Congress to immediately get rid of the wasteful and unnecessary items from this legislation and to send me a suitable bill, or else the next administration will have to deliver a COVID relief package.
So obviously I was wrong. Trump has been heavily resisting this, and he has said he will veto it and that he wants them to send him a clean bill. And Trump is historically known for not following through on his threats, but he did just veto the NDAA today. And the last time the NDAA was vetoed was 60 years ago. And people are saying he vetoed it for the wrong reason, which I agree, but it doesn't matter. The fact stands that he did veto it, and he said he would a couple weeks ago when they passed it. So he followed through on that. Trump is a horrible president. He's pardoning war criminals today, and he's been a crony capitalist. I mean, look at the CARES Act. I was just talking about that. He signed that without any hesitation. He hasn't, he's been terrible on the wars, terrible on spending, terrible on civil liberties, but he is right about this, and he is the most powerful man in this country, and he opposes this bill. I've just outlined why this bill is so terrible, and they're trying to pass this thing on Christmas week, while we're all thinking about the holidays. 90% of Congress voted for it without even having time to read it. It's the second largest spending bill in history. They locked you down inside your house for months, made you pay taxes, and they're trying to send all this money to the military, to foreign countries, to special interests, and through the PPP loans going to a lot of corporations again. So we need to do everything we can to oppose this thing. And it looked like all hope was gone, and for some reason Trump is opposing it, and I don't care why he is opposing it. The fact is he is opposing it. So I know it's Christmas Eve tomorrow, but keep the heat on Trump. Don't let this thing pass. To me, this is a turning point. If they can lock us in our houses all year and then pass a giant spending bill like this and send the money overseas and to special interests, we do not live in a free country. So keep the heat on. Tell your friends about what's going on. Encourage Donald Trump to veto this.